Okay, so step 6 is all about the negotiation. And the customer is at the stage where they're resolving their concerns and deciding. In some situations, the customer has to make a significant financial decision at this stage. So the sales organization is in the process of closing the sale. So, in most situations, this means a price negotiation. But very often it means more than that. It means, not just a price, but a negotiation about, what really the end final product is going to look like and how the project is going to work, etc. Yeah? So the skill behind step 6 is the skill of a negotiation. And what we do within this stage is that we look at the negotiation from the perspective of how do we make sure we don't drop our price? How do we make sure that we don't damage the quality of the project that we're going into? Because whether you admit it or not, what happens when you drop price is that you take things away from the original scope of the opportunity itself. In step 5, we have developed a solution with the customer, which really is a very robust solution, and we've probably done this with the client, with their people, and so in step 5 we've had a lot of very intensive meetings, but probably very positive meetings, which have all been focused around how we're going to make sure that this works. Yeah? So it's crazy to think that we now go to step 6 and start chipping away and breaking away at that basic good idea that was here. We want to keep the integrity of that idea going so that this project really does work as originally advertised. Yeah? And it's very difficult to do that when the client says you need to make it cheaper, because the first reaction is to say, well, okay, we can make it cheaper, but that means we're going to take something away. Even when we don't say we're going to take something away, we do. Yeah, you take something away from the scope of the project because that's the way it works. Good negotiating the intention of negotiating correctly is to guarantee that the scope of the project remains the way it was in step 5, or maybe it even gets better. Maybe we can bring other elements into this deal which actually expand it a little bit. Maybe we can sell something else at this stage. Maybe we can make this project into something that really has significantly more value than originally thought. Maybe we can find things for the customer where they say, hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, that sounds really cool as well. Thank you for bringing that into this negotiation. Just because we've been speaking about one particular project all the way through the sales process doesn't mean that we can't change it anymore. Obviously not significant changes, but we are going to start trying to bring things in which have the double purpose of making the deal more attractive and not changing scoping or pricing of the original deal. Another thing that we look at in step 6 is the behavior of the sales organization when it comes to negotiating. So we look at a principled negotiating strategy which uses 3 people, or looks at 3 different roles: the lead negotiator, the summarizer, and the meeting coordinator, and the observer as being the behavioral roles for the negotiation team. We realize that in reality this methodology is very hard to implement simply because of resource availability or the lack of resources to center these negotiations, but we have the job of showing best practice, and so we look at the best practice in terms of which roles are covered by a negotiation, and how do we free up the lead negotiator to really focus on the topic and the subject as much as possible. So that is negotiating.